Hello, I'm Hannah Carter and I'm a junior this year, and for my final project I did seam carving. When images are too large, the usual methods for resizing are cropping or dragging to rescale. But with these methods, you end up losing important content in an image or getting a distorted image. In this example, the cropped image keeps the lighthouse and the house but loses the shoreline. The rescaled image maintains all the parts of the original image, but everything is squished and unnatural looking. This is where seam carving comes in. Seam carving resizes images by removing unimportant pixels to keep the overall important parts of the image. My algorithm starts by using an energy function to make an energy matrix. For my energy function, I found the gradients of each color channel of my image and added them together. Then I used this energy matrix to find the shortest seam. I started from the bottom left of the image and calculated a shortest vertical seam starting at every pixel across the x-axis, then choosing the seam with the smallest cumulative energy to remove. Each individual seam was found by taking the current pixel index and taking the minimum value from the neighboring indexes in the row above. Then I made each shortest path red to visualize them before removing them. This process is repeated until enough seams are removed. I only created functions to find and remove vertical seams. To make horizontal cuts, I just translated the image. My algorithm also requests user inputs for the desired new height and width of the given image. For my first image, I made several vertical cuts. The second image shows a pretty good result after cutting around 100 pixels. The lighthouse, house, and shoreline are pretty intact. Then reducing the image even further, we also see a pretty regular looking image with minimal distortion. This is probably as far as you want to reduce the image by, because at this point the lighthouse and house will begin to get cut. In the last image, the distortion is pretty apparent. I used my own image for this second example. As we cut this image horizontally, we keep the general shape of the clouds intact and the terrain is kept undistorted throughout. The seam carving targets the distant mountains, which have very little detail and are relatively unimportant, while keeping the more detailed foreground intact. For image 3, I used this painting by Dali. The red lines show the seams that are being removed. We can see the algorithm is able to pretty well avoid the very distinct objects like the face and these clocks. This is a good example of using both vertical and horizontal cuts. This image was able to bring the objects closer together by removing a lot of the brown background. Going further than this, we start to distort the main objects and lose the integrity of the images. It is very apparent in this image. This next example is on one of my own photos. Only vertical cuts were made on this one, but throughout all the cuts, the general shape of the clouds and this main animal are kept very well intact up until the last extreme image, but even then the distortion isn't too bad. This example also uses one of my own images. This is an example of an image where seam carving does not work well. The whole picture is very busy, especially in the background. We can see the shortest seams are usually across our bodies in the picture, probably because our clothing and hair are pretty solid. So this algorithm uses these parts as the unimportant pixels to remove. Even only removing 75 pixels from each dimension leaves us looking pretty distorted. Part of this project that I found challenging was determining the best energy function to use and how to actually go about removing the shortest path. I really enjoyed this whole project in general and was impressed with how good some of the results came out. This could honestly be helpful when I have photos that are too big for Instagram but I don't want to crop them. Seam carving works very well with images with plain backgrounds and not so well with images with busy backgrounds. Also, my function is very slow when it comes to larger images and larger cuts. My seam carving algorithm could possibly be improved by trying different energy functions for certain images.